Επιθεωρητής John
Cousins. Επιθεωρητής detective, ναι.
Έτσι να το γράψω κι εγώ.
Βρετανός είναι, έτσι. Βρετανός.
Well, I'll just put it on the PNG so it doesn't stand up.
Mark, I might give you a piece. He's far away. Can I do that? Any chance of coffee?
It goes on in cost days.
Sorry for hearing any language that you probably shouldn't have live on our Facebook page.
At that stage, if you could just raise a hand, and either myself or Hannah will give you a signal for you to ask John the question. I will be calling an end to that at around 10 o'clock, and then we'll move into more one-on-one type questions. We do have a couple of appointments, one in particular around 10 o'clock, and I would like to commit ourselves to that. And then after that, if we can sort of...
Will you come back then?
Yes, yeah.
Away from here?
No, I think it's going to be just on this road here. So then if you would like to make other questions, we can arrange those one-on-one. Okay, fantastic.
Ναι, δεν ξέρω για τους Έλληνες που βρίσκονται εδώ, δεν ξέρω αν καταλάβατε τι είπε ο κύριος. Θα κάνει κάποιες δηλώσεις ο επιθεωρητής. Θα σας δοθούν ευκαιρίες για ερωτήσεις. Αν θέλετε, όποιος θέλει να κάνει ερώτηση, σηκώστε λίγο το χέρι και οι συνάδελφοι, ο Τζακ και η Χάνα, θα σας δώσουν το λόγο να ρωτήσετε την ερώτησή σας. Αυτό θα κρατήσει περίπου μέχρι τις 10 η ώρα, αναλόγως στις ερωτήσεις. Μετά έχουμε ατομικές συνεντεύξεις με μερικούς εκπροσώπους του τύπου. Αν θέλετε κάτι το συγκεκριμένο, μια προσωπική συνέντευξη, μπορούμε να το κανονίσουμε. Και αυτό θα γίνει μέσω είτε του Jack είτε της Χάνας, να το κανονίσουμε τι ώρα θέλετε να γίνει αυτό. Καμιά ερώτηση μέχρι στιγμής? Ευχαριστώ.
I was just going to say,
When you start, keep coming. It's about there. That's all right.
can you identify yourself as we're doing this at the beginning? Is everybody
Fine. Yes, yeah.
Kalimera and good morning. My name is Detective Inspector John Cousins of South Yorkshire Police.
Καλημέρα, ονομάζομαι Θανάσης Φούρλης και από εδώ είναι ο επιθεωρητής Detective John Cousins.
I'm the Senior Investigating Officer for the investigation into the disappearance of Ben Needham on the 24th of July 1991 from the farmhouse directly behind where we stand now.
Ο κύριος Cousins είναι ο υπεύθυνος αξιωματικός detective, υπεύθυνος για την έρευνα που διεξάγεται για την εξαφάνιση του Ben Needham, ο οποίος εξαφανίστηκε από αυτό το σημείο εδώ το 1991.
Ever since that day, little Ben's family have been tirelessly seeking to find the answers as to what happened to Ben.
Από εκείνη τη μέρα η οικογένεια του Ben προσπαθεί να βρει απαντήσεις για το τι έγινε εκείνη τη μέρα.
I've played a small part in this investigation, and this has been my life for the past 18 months. I can only hardly begin to imagine what it must have been for the Needham family over the past 25 years.
Έχω παίξει ένα μικρό ρόλο στην έρευνα. Η έρευνα αυτή είναι μέρος της ζωής μου τους τελευταίους 18 μήνες και δεν μπορώ να φανταστώ τι έχει περάσει η οικογένεια τα τελευταία 25 χρόνια.
Last year, South Yorkshire Police were awarded special funding by the Home Office in the United Kingdom to allow us to carry out this investigation.
Πέρσι η αστυνομία του Νότιου Yorkshire έλαβε μια ειδική επιχορήγηση για να ξεκινήσει τις έρευνες, να συνθέσει μια ομάδα εξειδικευμένου προσωπικού για να βρουν απαντήσεις.
I was able to put together a team of extremely and highly skilled detectives and support staff to investigate what was a vast amount of information which we managed to gather from law enforcement agencies and other police forces and other government authorities throughout the world.
Όπως σας είπα, μια ομάδα βρέθηκε από εξειδικευμένο προσωπικό καθώς και από προσωπικό υποστήριξης, όλοι πολύ ειδικοί στο χώρο τους και συνέλεξαν και επιθεώρησαν ένα πολύ μεγάλο αριθμό πληροφοριών που ήρθε από διάφορες αστυνομικές αρχές σε ολόκληρο τον κόσμο.
It isn't easy to put into words how proud I am of the team and the people that I've worked with over the past 18 months, and the team, most of which you will see behind me working today.
Είναι πάρα πολύ υπερήφανος που δουλεύει με αυτή την ομάδα, με αυτούς τους ανθρώπους που βλέπετε πίσω του αυτή τη στιγμή, για να βρούνε λύσεις στο τι έγινε εκείνη τη μέρα.
We continue to work very closely with Ben's family, with the Greek authorities who are fully supportive of the work that we're doing, other law enforcement agencies, as well as the Foreign and Commonwealth Office and the Home Office back in the UK.
Συνεργαζόμαστε στενά με την οικογένεια, τις ελληνικές αρχές, άλλες αρχές από άλλα μέρη του κόσμου, τις προξενικές αρχές, καθώς και με διάφορες άλλες υπηρεσίες, και γι' αυτό βρισκόμαστε εδώ σήμερα.
I'm also very grateful for the support and the work that I've carried out with members of yourselves of the media community, without whom a lot of the information that we gathered we would not have today.
Είναι επίσης ευγνώμων για τους εκπροσώπους των μέσων μαζικής ενημέρωσης για τη βοήθειά τους όλα αυτά τα χρόνια. Χωρίς τη βοήθειά τους δεν θα μπορούσαμε να βρεθούμε σε αυτό το σημείο εδώ σήμερα.
All of this has resulted in a lot of myth and legend that has gathered over 25 years as to what happened to Ben. It has allowed us to pare back and find the truth and the facts in relation to that, and that is why we are here today.
Όλο αυτό συντέλεσε σε μερικούς μύθους να αναλυθούν, κάποια στοιχεία να εξερευνηθούν και τελικά να βρεθούμε στο στάδιο να είμαστε εδώ σήμερα να κάνουμε αυτή την έρευνα.
In May we visited Kos and appealed to the people of the island to come forward with any information that they may have. I was inundated and very grateful for the information that we received over that period of time.
Το Μάιο ήμασταν πάλι εδώ στην Ελλάδα, λάβαμε έναν πολύ μεγάλο αριθμό πληροφοριών και ευχαριστούμε τους κατοίκους της ΚΟ για τις πληροφορίες που μας δώσανε, και σήμερα είμαστε πάλι εδώ να ερευνήσουμε μερικές από αυτές τις πληροφορίες.
Some of that key information, based on the other facts that we were able to establish over this investigation, is what has led me to be here today with the team in order to start a meticulous search of an area of land surrounding this farmhouse.
Τις πληροφορίες που λάβαμε τον Μάιο, καθώς και με άλλα στοιχεία που είχαμε από προηγούμενες έρευνες, τον οδήγησαν να πάρει την απόφαση να ερευνήσουμε αυτό το σημείο πάλι σήμερα.
This is going to be a targeted search around areas that we know that Ben was last seen.
Θα είναι μια συγκεκριμένη έρευνα σε συγκεκριμένες περιοχές, τις οποίες ξέρουμε ότι βρισκόταν την μέρα εκείνη ο Ben.
It is going to be a lengthy and meticulous process over what may be the coming days and maybe even weeks. We are working with other teams from the island. We've very kindly got the support of the Hellenic search team that are assisting us, for which I am also very grateful.
Θα είναι μια χρονοβόρα διαδικασία και επίπονη. Θα διαρκέσει αρκετές μέρες, ίσως και εβδομάδες. Είμαστε πολύ ευγνώμων για τους ανθρώπους που μας βοηθούν αυτές τις μέρες εδώ και την ελληνική ομάδα διάσωσης, τους εθελοντές από την ΚΟ για τη βοήθειά τους.
As you can imagine, this site, like much of this great country, is of great archaeological interest. And as such, we also have an archaeological team working with us from the island of Kos.
Ίσως γνωρίζετε ότι το συγκεκριμένο σημείο έχει αρχαιολογικό ενδιαφέρον και ως εκ τούτου έχουμε ανθρώπους εδώ από τις τοπικές αρχές που μας συνοδεύουν και θα επιβλέπουν την κατάσταση.
A result of which, there is every likelihood that there might be some delay in some of the work that we're doing during the period that we are here.
Σαν αποτέλεσμα, αν όντως βρεθεί κάτι, ίσως υπάρχει μια διακοπή της διαδικασίας για μερικές μέρες μέχρι να γίνει η απαραίτητη έρευνα.
Please consider that if you see periods of inactivity, it will be for a valid reason. And also this farmland has been farmed for many, many hundreds of years, as a result of which, and based on what we found out in 2012 when a search was done nearby, we will be finding many hundreds of bones, each of which will have to be carefully looked at.
Οπότε να το έχετε αυτό στα υπόψη σας, αν δείτε κάποια διακοπή στις εργασίες, αυτός ίσως να είναι ένας λόγος. Όπως επίσης γνωρίζουμε από πριν ότι η συγκεκριμένη περιοχή είναι αγροτική περιοχή και έχει καλλιεργηθεί εδώ και εκατοντάδες χρόνια και αναμένουμε πολλές εκατοντάδες οστά να βρεθούν. Η δουλειά θα συνεχιστεί με το που γίνουν οι απαραίτητες αναφορές και έρευνες για οποιοδήποτε έβριμα.
I'm sure there's a lot of questions that each of you would like to ask in relation to what we're going to be doing and what we're planning over the next few weeks. And all I'd ask is that if you wish to raise your hand, my colleague will select each of you and I shall try my best to answer each and every one.
Όπως σας είπαμε, αν έχετε κάποιες ερωτήσεις, σίγουρα θα έχετε κάποιες ερωτήσεις. Είναι πολύ ευχαριστημένος να τις απαντήσει όλες. Απλά σηκώστε το χέρι σας και οι συνάδελφοι θα σας δώσουν το λόγο.
Okay, you were here 4 years ago. How confident are you that you may actually find something this time compared to 4 years ago? What's different about this time?
There was a team here in 2012 doing a search of an area of land just over to my right over there. That was based on the information that was known at that time. Very thorough and intricate search took place. A number of items were found during that search which now bear significance, having had opportunity to do the investigation that we've done over the past 18 months. As a result of that, and the new information which came to light in May, that is why the decision had been made to search the area of land that we are now doing, which was not taken in 2012, because that information was not known then.
You talked about paring back the myth and the legend that's developed over the last 25 years. When you've done that, what are you left with?
I'm continuously keeping an open mind, and still do, as to what may have happened to Ben back in 1991. There are a lot of lines of inquiry. There are still some other ongoing live lines of inquiry in relation to what may have happened to Ben. This is the main one at the moment, based on the facts that we know, and based on my review of all the information that we have.
Inspector, we know you have a new key witness. How strong would you suggest that the evidence he's been able to provide you is, given that we obviously have very specific search parameters that you've adopted here?
The information that was given to us back in June following the press appeal in May, added to the other information that we've had and been able to gather that has been collated by the Greek authorities over 25 years, by Interpol and numerous police forces throughout the world. Putting all that together, my assessment is that it's a very valid reason for us to do the work that we're doing today.
Can you do that one again? Sorry, I just waited for it to stop there. Sorry, no, it's not. Sorry.
Do you want to ask the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. The key witness that you have now, how strong is the evidence you were able to gain from that witness, given, of course, that the search area that you are now involved in searching is very specific?
You're quite right. This is a targeted approach to the area that we are searching. The information that we received in June following the press appeal in May, added to the other information that we've managed to gather and collated that the Greek authorities have gathered over 25 years, other police forces throughout the world. It bears a great deal of significance in corroborating and adding pieces to a jigsaw that have been missing for a long time.
Can I ask, a lot of your statements have been about the digging. Are you preparing to interview new witnesses or new people connected with the investigation? People like perhaps the family of Dino Barkas, the digger driver. You plan to speak to the widow and son of Dino?
We have been speaking to Mr. Barkas' family. We spoke to him in May and June. We continue to speak to that family. They've been supportive of this investigation and they have been giving us information throughout the time that we were here earlier this year. And thank you for that, because what I'd also like to add is, certainly for the community of Kos, if anybody else does have either new information or anything that they wish to tell us, please feel free to come forward to us and speak to us in confidence. whatever they have to say and let us assess the validity of what they have.
You've told Kerry to prepare for the worst. Are you closing the door on the option that Ben is still alive?
No, I'm not. There are many other lines of inquiry in relation to this that are still ongoing. I am keeping an open mind, but based on what I know at the moment, based on the assessment of all the information we have, I've made a decision that it is necessary to do the work that we're going to be doing over the next week or so.
Last time you excavated at this site, certainly the family saw it as a means of eliminating this site from the inquiries to keep Ben as a missing person. Do you expect to find something here?
As I said earlier, the search in 2012 was based on the information that was known at that time. There hadn't been the opportunity of meticulous work by the Operation Ben team over 18 months to gather a vast amount of information which was stored throughout the world, literally throughout the world, to visit many hundreds of people, speak to a lot of people who were here on the day, a lot of people who knew about the circumstances of what may have happened and the new information that's come forward. All of that put together gives me a very strong reason to be here for the next week or so.
So you expect to find something?
I'm optimistic about this search taking place.
How big is the team that you've got working here?
Currently today there are 19 individuals, which include members from South Yorkshire Police, from the actual investigation team. I've got forensic scientists here. I've got a team of specialist archaeologists with an anthropologist, expert in being able to identify whatever that we find. I've also got a number of volunteers from the Hellenic Search and Rescue team, as well as from the Greek Police Service as well.
Ναι. Μίλησε νωρίτερα για μια γενναία χρηματοδότηση που έλαβε το τμήμα του Yorkshire για να προκειμένου να συνεχιστούν οι έρευνες αυτές. Αν οι έρευνες συνεχίζονται βάσει της χρηματοδότησης αυτής ή αν οι πληροφορίες τελευταίες που έλαβε η αστυνομία από τον τελευταίο μάρτυρο, ο οποίος ισχυρίζεται ότι κάτι συνέβη εδώ στα γειτονικά χωράφια, ήταν κυρίως το ένασμα για να συνεχιστεί η προσπάθεια.
Οπότε η ερώτηση σας
αν γίνεται βάσει της χρηματοδότησης που έγινε ή αν συσχετίζεται με τις τελευταίες μαρτυρίες του μάρτυρα, ο οποίος λέει ότι σε γειτονικά χωράφια πιθανόν να είναι θαμμένος ο ΜΠΕΝ.
Yeah, we received some funding from a Home Office regarding the ΜΠΕΝ team. Is this part of that funding, or is this part of the information we received last time we were here?
The Home Office granted South Yorkshire Police a special fund in relation to the investigation into Ben Needham. All of the inquiries that I've carried out in the 18 months, including what we're doing now, and also beyond what our current other lines of inquiry that we're investigating, is part of that budget that we've received.
Η υπηρεσία του Νότιου Yorkshire πήρε, όπως είπατε, μια επιχορήγηση για να ερευνήσει την υπόθεση της εξαφάνισης του Ben. Αυτό που κάνουμε εδώ σήμερα είναι μέρος αυτής της επιχορήγησης. Σας απάντησε στην ερώτηση?
Απλά ήθελα να μας απαντήσει αν συσχετίζεται η έρευνα με την τελευταία μαρτυρία ή αν ήταν κάτι που θα γινόταν ούτως ή άλλως, ανεξάρτητα από την τελευταία μαρτυρία.
Would we be here today if we hadn't received the information we received recently? We would have been doing this anyway.
This is still very much a Greek-led investigation. South Yorkshire Police are assisting the Greek authorities in relation to what we are doing and have been doing for the past 18 months with their full backing and their full support, for which I am extremely grateful. It is very unlikely that without the funding that we received from the Home Office, that the scale of what we are doing will be what we are doing today. And we will always continue to support this investigation from now and onwards.
Είμαστε σε συνεργασία με τις ελληνικές αρχές. Αυτή η έρευνα είναι των ελληνικών αρχών. Εμείς είμαστε εδώ για να βοηθήσουμε αυτή τη διαδικασία. Είναι πολύ απίθανο, αν δεν είχε δοθεί η επιχορήγηση αυτή όπως είπατε, δεν θα υπήρχε το μέγεθος που βλέπετε εδώ σήμερα.
Could you maybe describe like what exactly is going to be done to the ground, like what kind of machinery, things like that?
It may appear that there isn't a lot of activity at the moment. There's a lot of briefings taking place. The team have only gathered in the majority last night. Clearly there's a lot of issues to be discussed, although planning has been taking place for a long time leading up to the start of this today. Over the next few hours, we're going to be gridding out a particular area and identifying particular points, as I said earlier, a targeted approach to what we're going to be doing. The Earth is going to be meticulously looked at each of these points, and we're going to see what we find as we go along.
Ladies and gents, unless there's